Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? I have this topic that I'm going to speak about right now. I'm going to turn this into an actual series where I break it down a little bit more. I'm going to have individual parts of this because it's very long and it's very intricate. And I have a lot of experience with this particular topic. The reason why I'm even making it a topic right now when I could have made it a topic anytime is because somebody was speaking to me about something today and yesterday when I realized, wow, I actually am now in a position where I can say that I have dealt with this and I have in some ways overcome. So I everybody has narcissistic tendencies or traits. Some people tend to call everybody a narcissist. I'm not one of those. I can have narcissistic traits, you can have narcissistic traits, but when you're dealing with a narcissist, life can be really difficult for you. And the work dynamic of that particular type of relationship makes it even harder because now there's a power element to it as well. So, this is where I'm going to start off. This is how I realized I was dealing with a narcissist. As a matter of fact, I did not come to the conclusion myself. It was one of my coworkers who pointed that out to me and told me to look up the traits. One in particular, I remember this manager that I had wanted me to ask permission for everything. They wanted me to ask for permission to stand up, to sit down, to pick up my notebook, to put it down, to spin around in a circle, to use the bathroom, to tell them how long I was going to spend in the bathroom. I'm kind of joking about it, but no, there was a high level of I need you to ask me about everything. I'm not entrusting anything with you. Every minute of your day, I have to be informed about it. Any variation, do not use your judgment. Ask me. I remember an incident where I spent about $20 on office supplies because I was working from home. And we have a budget that we can expense items. And it was simple. It was like a binder, some paper, some pens. And they said, well, you're lucky that I am not going to get you in trouble for ordering these items because typically we order from this discount place where you could have got the items cheaper. And yeah, I could have gotten the items a little cheaper, but we're not talking about expensing a laptop or something that is ridiculously expensive. There's a thing that I learned very well called manager's discretion. So this would not even really be anything that's on the table unless it's a large volume and a lot of people are doing it. But that's neither here nor there. That's one of the first tell-alls that I had that this person was a narcissistic manager. Um, but if anybody knows anything about a narcissist, whether it's a manager, whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, whether it's anybody, if anyone knows anything about these people, they can have you convinced that you are the one who is in the wrong. Because that was the case for me for a while. I was wondering, how am I doing so many things wrong? And this person is never doing anything wrong. And where it really came to a head for me, where it really got scary for me in a way, I remember things piled up in the relationship between me and this person. to where I had to get a third party involved, a couple of third parties involved. So one of them was that manager's supervisor. So I had a confidential conversation with that person. I said, "This is what's going on between me and my manager." And the supervisor was like, "Wow, that sounds like a lot to go through, but we can't really resolve the issue unless you're willing to have a conversation with your manager about it." I said, "I've tried myself." So the supervisor said, "Okay, so would you be open to having a meeting with the three of us, a mediated meeting where I'm there? She can get out what she has to say, you can get out what you have to say, go from there." I said, "Okay." I am somebody, I like to write things out. So I had written out all the different gripes that I had. I wrote everything out. And the supervisor of my manager asked me to send them that list. "Hey, can you send me that list?" Now, I just thought that she wanted that list because she wanted to know the talking points to bring to the table. I I have no confirmation of this, but I think she actually showed my manager that list because we got onto a Teams meeting. The three of us were on a Teams meeting, and the manager was like, "Oh, well, the supervisor brought all these things to my attention, and I'm so shocked about you saying these things." She was gaslighting me. She said, "I'm so shocked about you saying these things. I thought that we had a great relationship. I didn't even know that we had one issue, let alone all these things that you brought up." So she said, "So I just want to go through all of these points and make sure that we're on the same page." So she actually opened up a screen share, Microsoft Teams. Each point that I had on the list, she had those conversations saved, whether they were email, text message, whatever they came from. She had those conversations saved and put up certain pieces of those conversations on the screen. Well, I said this to Mark after he got hostile with me, when all I did was ask him to tell me when he's going to take his lunch break. So to give you an example, it was not a problem about me telling her when I was going to take lunch break. It was the fact that we had the type of job where we're not working on the company schedule. We're working on the company time. Like, we have a time that we clock in and we clock out, but because of the nature of the job and it being work from home, we all create our own schedules, including lunch. The only time I wouldn't be able to take a lunch break is if I had a meeting scheduled or something that was specifically scheduled for the time I would want to take lunch. Yes, I would have to make lunch around that. But this person asked me, what was demanding that I put my lunch break on the Outlook calendar daily. Whenever that lunch break is, put it on there daily, and don't take my lunch until she approves the lunch break. And then if I would go to lunch, I would put it on Microsoft Teams always, lunchtime, whatever, so that it could always be seen when I'm taking my lunch. But because it wasn't being done in this specific way that she asked for, putting it on the Outlook calendar and requesting permission and waiting until she clicks yes on the calendar invite, she would harass me. She would call me on my personal phone on my lunch break and be like, "Where are you? You're AWOL. If this happens again, you're going to get written up, this and that." And so we had several such back and forth conversations, and after many of them, I did say, you keep acting like I'm some criminal trying to steal company time. And she took that one sentence out of, oh, had to be 2 to 3 months worth of different conversations about the same topic. And I finally get just a little bit angry and give her a sarcastic response. And she said that she basically asked me once or twice, and I responded in a hostile manner. I'm looking at this thing with my jaw on the floor. That was point number one. Another thing was we were not allowed to be as work from home. People know what I'm talking about. Your team status, um, they don't want your team status to be on away. But obviously, there's going to be times when you're not always actively next to the computer. It could be because you're on the phone. It could be because you're doing some research, or it could be because you're at home. So you go to the bathroom, you have an emergency, like it could be anything. The point is not really whether your team stays away or not, it's whether you are getting the work done. And obviously, I know a company is not going to want you to just turn on the computer and not be on it because they're still paying you to do a job. But there was no kind of excessive times that I was away. And this particular time, because I knew how this person was, we had a snowstorm in New York, a bad snowstorm. And it was one of those types of snowstorms where if you don't get out there every hour and shovel your porch and shovel your stairs and in front of your door, you're gonna get stuck in the house. And also my mom was out at work. So I had to make sure that she was able to get in the house when she got home. So I said this at the beginning of the day. I said, I'm just letting you know there's a very bad snowstorm. I'm still working. However, I am going to be going outside, every so often to keep shoveling to make sure that we don't get stuck in here, to make sure the car doesn't get stuck. That's important in case we need to go out, in case we need to get some supplies, water, whatever it is. I assume, okay, this person is human, so they're gonna know. I mean, I'm sure they have snow over where they live. I know they have snow over there. So I was out for more than 15 minutes. My status went away, even though I said that I was going out to shovel the snow. And then I got threatened with a write-up for my team status showing away. And again, I'm saying in the conversation that I had with this manager, I'm like, the way you're treating me is as if I'm somebody you have to really micromanage like this, where you think that if I'm not on the computer for a few minutes, it means that I'm taking a vacation or something. So it annoyed me. I responded to that in an annoyed way. Why would I be threatened for a write-up when I told you that there's a snowstorm outside, blah, 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 blah. So it was made to look in this mediated meeting as disrespect. Those are two examples. I had a list of maybe 15 to 20 items that I saved each and every one of those conversations, screen captures, all of this in folders, and had them prepared to screen share as if we were doing the O.J. Simpson trial or something. And the way that all of these conversations were made to look. If I was I was thinking to myself, if I'm the mediator and I'm looking at this from the outside looking in, it just looks like I'm disrespectful and I'm nonchalant about my work. and I'm a hothead that just gets angry for no reason because that's the way that the picture was painted. So, because I'm not a narcissist, I actually sat down after that conversation for a while and did some self reflection. And I said to myself, was I really wrong in all these scenarios that I'm complaining about? Was I really at fault, but I was seeing it through a certain lens where I couldn't see any fault or flaw in myself? And I was questioning myself. This is something that a narcissist makes you do. Gaslighting can be so toxic and scary to where even in a situation where you know I'm not wrong here, I know that I'm not wrong here. All of my facts line up, but this other party is speaking with such conviction about their stance on the matter. They're so self-righteous about their stance on the matter and passionate about what they're saying, and they're so sure they can repeat that lie on command to 20 different parties with a stone face and make you believe that. Um, it took me a while to realize that that was what was happening. But like I said, as I had reached out to one of my coworkers for some advice on the matter, he said, "Your manager is a narcissist. Look it up. Look it up, and everything that they are doing is out of the playbook." Now, where this really became clear to me, where it became so clear what the playbook was to me, in addition to just reading up on those traits, which like I said at the beginning of this, I'm going to really have a whole series about this. I'm going to go in depth about it because I have a lot of experience now. I requested a mediation from HR, and I got somebody in that mediation who was heaven sent for me, pretty much. And the reason I say that is because I asked HR to get involved, hoping that I can present a case to them about what this manager has been doing to me and that HR would intervene. HR would step in and either reprimand that person or get rid of them. Well, I was hoping that HR was going to get rid of them, but the HR rep told me that it's very rare that they are going to get rid of a manager for those reasons that you're giving. Told me that it's very rare. But the HR person, so we had our first mediated meeting of several. We had several mediated meetings. Myself, the manager, and the HR rep. So I brought all my points to the table. The first meeting, the manager was very angry and agitated, and so was I. I'm sitting here feeling like this is a relationship argument. That's how heated it was, like some kind of bad breakup type thing. So she's going in, I'm going in, but we're talking about different things. I'm talking about how I feel she's disrespectful to me. I'm talking about how she speaks to me, how she micromanages me, how she gives me certain requirements that nobody else is getting. A whole bunch of different things, a whole bunch of different scenarios. She's going in on my attitude. She's going in on, let me see, my work performance. She's saying my work performance is not up to standard. She's taking any little thing that she can, nitpicking about anything that she could think of. She even threw in, "Oh, Mark is never at his desk. He's never anywhere to be found." And I'm like, based on what metrics? I was like, where's the proof of that? How can you say that in a work from home job that I'm never available? Because if it's that whenever you contact me, which is a lot, I always answer. Whenever you say, oh, let's hop on and do a video call, which was basically just to prove that I was at my computer to do the video call, I'm right there. So there's no actual proof of you making that claim, especially in front of an HR rep. But like I said, that type of person is willing to just lie. They can lie quickly. They can come up with a lie quick, or maybe the lie is planned out really well, or maybe they're just a pathological liar. But whatever it is, when you don't know, when you've never dealt with that type of person, you go into those scenarios unarmed, and that's the worst place to be. Now, I'm going to say something that I'm going to end up repeating when I do my actual series on this. I recall looking up many videos about how to deal with having a narcissistic manager. I even had somebody send me, I think it was a video or an article. I think it was an article that was like how to train your manager how to treat you. This is what I have to say about that. Unfortunately, a narcissist is a narcissist. You can't train them, you can't teach them, you can't make them different. The only way that they would ever become a different person, treat you differently, or be different is if they ever came to the conclusion that this is who they are and they want to make some kind of change. But there's no strategy that's going to make them change. Now, there are strategies on how to manage your relationship with them. And it's unfortunate that there's people that are in that position, but it's real. It's real. So in my case, the HR person advised me. They said, you know how when you were saying your manager was talking to you this certain way, micromanaging you, blah, blah, blah. She told me, number one, you have to make sure to dot your I's and cross your T's. And what was meant by that is you can't leave anything on the table when it comes to work performance. You have to make sure that your work performance is on point. You got to make sure you're reaching your quotas. You've got to make sure that you're doing your documentation on time. You got to make sure that you're responding to your emails so that that can't be used against you. If they are poking and prodding at you in conversation and you get pissed off about it, don't respond in written form. Don't respond to it on Teams. Don't respond to it on whatever. Thank you. I will address that. If they're like, you're not doing this and this, you suck, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. I'm going to work on it. And if you need to, get up, walk away from the computer. This is all kind of work from home, geared towards more of a work from home thing. I will probably think of some more for if that person is an in-person manager, but this right now is basically for a work from home scenario, right? So get up, walk away from the computer, go outside, scream if you have to, call a friend. Don't give them that angry response in writing for them to use against you. If you have somebody who will have a one-to-one supervision meeting with you and then write a bunch of BS in your follow-up, this is how the one-on-one went. I spoke to Mark and he wasn't doing enough of this, and he agreed that he was going to do more of that, and he agreed that he wasn't doing this. If that's not true, you follow up that email with your own follow-up email where you say, where you have your own notes. You take your own meeting notes. Every time you get into those meetings, take your own notes. and then send them as a response. Oh, hi, whatever your pleasantry. I'm not the best for the formalities, but whatever you use as your opener in that email, I would just like some clarification. You said this and this happened in our one-to-one meeting, and we discussed this. To my understanding, this is what was discussed. These are the notes that I took on our meeting, and this was my takeaway. I would just like some clarification, because if it comes down to it, it's like somebody putting a bunch of negative strikes on your record. And if you never responded to them, it's like a permanent record. And I found that out the hard way too, because this manager cost me 50% of my annual bonus for the year because of what they were putting in my one-to-one reports and the fact that I wasn't disputing them. Even though I knew a lot of the stuff wasn't true, they're going to go by the written record. So that's the thing. Take records for yourself. Keep records for yourself. Keep records of all your interactions. That's another thing. Don't respond emotionally in an email or a Teams message or even a text message or any form of thing that they can take and keep and screen capture or save, because if push comes to shove, they will do that. They're always prepared to do that. Keep the conversation as minimal as possible by, again, keeping up with your work and being prepared to come into the work meeting with an agenda. Okay, this is what I've done for the week. I've met whatever metrics that I had to meet by doing A, B, C, D, and E. And then if they find other things to say, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do this, you're bad at this, you didn't do that. Thank you very much. I'm taking note of that. I will work on that, and I'll update you on my progress. That's it. Don't argue with them. You'll never win the argument. The only thing that will ever come out of the argument, if you keep going, is they'll keep going. You keep going, they keep going. You keep going, they keep going. If they say something as your authority, that's the way they're viewing it. You're not a person to them. They're your superior, and you are their subordinate. That's it. If you dispute or say that's wrong, or I don't believe that's what I've been doing, or I don't think that's true, they're going to get upset, and they're going to now start finding more things. Even if you are right about that one thing, they'll find other things. You know, the way how a parent back in the day might be like, hey, you did this and this and this wrong, and then you prove that what they're saying actually is wrong. And they're like, well, wait a minute, I'm your parent. How dare you tell me that I'm wrong? That's how a lot of those people view those types of relationships. So those are a few tips on managing that type of person. When you get into a spot or a jam where the behavior is so overwhelming to you, you can go to HR like I did. But just know that going to HR is a battle. Just know that a lot of these people are very well versed in HR speak. In other words, they can convincingly say all the right things to HR to get HR off their back. Because chances are, if they're doing all this to you, they've probably done it to somebody else. It's probably not even the first HR complaint. You're the rookie at this. They're the veteran. Don't think that an HR complaint is going to change your manager or your situation. And don't think that your manager is going to change either. That's the other thing. So I remember a video that I saw that said, unfortunately, the best thing that you can do if you are in it as a narcissistic manager is to leave. And I was like, I shouldn't have to leave if I'm doing my job, if I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. Why do I have to leave? That's not fair. But now, years later, I realized why that was said. I tried everything. I tried different strategies. I tried to train the manager. I tried to do all this different stuff. Flip the table, change the conversation, all these different tips and tricks that I got from different places and people. That person was the same person from the first day that I met them to the last day that we worked together. No change. And I was banging my head against the wall pretty much, trying to foster this change, trying to make this change happen, trying to improve our relationship. Nothing worked, and nothing ever would, and nothing ever will. That's it. But I'm going to go through this whole series step by step, where I talk about my experience with a narcissistic manager, what I went through emotionally, the supports that I got that helped me through, the rights that I realized that I had, and the things that I wish that I had known in the start. And I know that this is going to be something that helps so many people. Sometimes you go through experiences that take you to dark, 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 dark places, right? And you don't know why you have those experiences until somebody walks up to you and says, Mark, I'm going through this issue. I don't know if you can understand. And I'm like, can I understand? I lived that. I lived that nightmare. So I understand perfectly well. And maybe my understanding of it and my experience with it will help somebody else not to have those same pitfalls. So I am going to make this series, and I'm actually quite excited to do it. Now is the perfect time. Now is the perfect time for me. But I'm going to hop off for now, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. Have a great night.